All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our April version of WEBtips. My name is Lance Yoder. We're about 1 minute after the hour here. I still see some people joining, so I will just give us 1 minute, and we'll get going here at 11:02, just to make sure everyone gets out of their last meeting into this one. So we'll just go on hold here for just about another 30 seconds. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everyone to our April version of WEBtips. This month we're going to be talking about forms and workflow items, but first a couple housekeeping items here. Everyone's going to be on mute during the webinar to make sure we have the ability to hear the presenters as they're talking. We may have some polls. I don't think we've had set up any polls for this particular session, but if you do have any questions, please type the questions to us in the chat window. Raise your hand. You click the raise your hand, type in your question. And as we get through here, we'll try to make way to answer the questions along the way, or if nothing else, respond back to them at the end if we get too many. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We want to just give a shout out to our folks that we met at the Las Vegas WUG in 2016 over February over in Las Vegas at the Hard Rock Hotel. Here in the bottom left, we have a customer that works with us and won their Golden Brushy. So congratulations to Cooper Tire, and a nod to ourselves as the 2015 Partner of the Year. Not only do we do Winshuttle, so we were Winshuttle's Partner of the Year, but we have many other offerings as well. So not only do we have work forms and workflow for Winshuttle and all the other Winshuttle aspects, we have other products that are in our lean space. Try to keep things lean. That's the buzzword these days. So we have lean imaging, and it's all about process automation. So for those of you who haven't met with us before, we know this is offered as a free service with WEBtips, so just want to do a little introduction to ourselves. Our business is based upon business process automation and optimization, not just forms and workflow, but anything around that space. Okay, and one of the new products that we're coming up with is the Process BI dashboard that specifically look at your forms and workflow tool set, your Winshuttle forms and workflow. So you're spending all this time generating these great solutions to automate your business process, and you're getting all these timestamps now on your forms and workflow. So what the Process BI tool does is it just works directly with your Winshuttle forms and workflow database, and you can present that information directly through a mobile device, a desktop, or a tablet. It's looking directly at your process data. How long is it taking people to complete their tasks? What processes are taking longer than others? So now that you're using Winshuttle to help automate your business process, this helps you get the insight into your business process to make improvements. So it's sort of telling two stories. What's going on right now? Late? Who's on time? Where are my processes at? But it's also giving you the ability to look historically to understand where there could be some room for improvements. All right, so as far as WEBtips is sponsored by our Solution Care offering. This is a little bit about what Solution Care is for those of you that are sort of new to WEBtips. And when you pay your Winshuttle maintenance, you get a few items sort of out of the box with that maintenance. You get bug fixes to help you with installs and migrations and upgrade assistance. You also get the latest and greatest tools from Winshuttle. So when they offer their upgrades, your maintenance is help paying for that R&D for the new products and the new updates that are coming up. But with Solution Care, not only do you get most of those items, we're not the software owner, so we don't give you any updates. Those come from Winshuttle, but we are a support desk for all of these other items. So if you have a question on how does this feature work, or how does SharePoint do this, or I just need some help with transaction or query scripts, can you give me any tips or guidance? Solution Care is our help desk offering that covers all of those things and many more. It's 5 free hours to get started. So if you're interested, just email solutioncare@clearprocesssolutions.com, and we'll reach out to you and see where we can get you some help on those tips and tricks that you need in those 5 hours. All right. So on to tips and tricks. Our WEBtips session So what is WEBtips? All right, so WEBtips is our monthly way to communicate with our customers and folks out in the Winshuttle space on what's new and improved in the products that you're using, just some things that we've learned during the project that we've done. So since we're a services firm, we do a lot of projects using Winshuttle. WEBtips is just our way to communicate some of the cool things that we're doing and some tips and tricks along the way. They're not always mind-blowing, but they are some little nuggets to help you improve your skill set within the Winshuttle tool space. Every other month, we talk about forms and workflow, and on the other months, we talk about the desktop tools, transaction and query, and we try to, at some point, integrate those conversations because we know the form and workflow tools can integrate with those transaction tools. So we always offer these now for free out on the web. So after the end of the session, we follow up with a link to the webcast, as well as a link to all of our previous webcasts as well, if you ever want to go back and review those. All right. We will move on to our presenter. So we have a new presenter this month, Tom Dempsey, one of our Winshuttle developers. He's created in the SharePoint space and used many forms of workflow tools in the past. Been using Winshuttle now with CPS for 6 or 7 months, and we're going to turn it over to him. He's going to be handling the WEBtips for April, and he's talking about a few things that he's learned on the projects that he's working on. So at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Tom, and he will take it from there. All right, Tom, it looks like you're on. If you want to go ahead and share your screen when you're ready, we'll let you kick it off.
All right, can everyone hear me? All right.
Yep, I can hear you fine, Tom.
Perfect. All right, everybody, welcome, and thanks, Lance, for the kind introduction. As Lance mentioned, I am a Winshuttle developer. I have a background in workflow automation, specifically in the SharePoint realm. In the last 4 years, I was mainly focusing on SharePoint and SharePoint Designer workflows, Nintex forms, and workflows. I have a knack for process optimization and automation. I've done a lot of different things in the Winshuttle platform, and today I'm just going to go over a few of what I thought were pretty cool tips and tricks, at least. To start things off, the topics that I'm going to go over today are merging repeating tables, applying row 1 values to preceding rows in a repeating table, and then last, we're going to go over the process list in the Winshuttle Workflow Central, how we can mass cancel on running processes. It could become cumbersome when you're testing, so we're going to go over how we can just mass cancel all of those at once. So the first topic is merging repeating tables, and what I mean by that is we have data that's found in 2 different repeating tables, and we want to combine that data and put it into a 3rd repeating table. And recently a use case came up for that. We were working with Unloading Point, and to show you what I'm referring to is, so we're in SAP, and we're looking at a customer, and specifically the unloading points. And SAP gives us this great and wonderful data grid for unloading points. And it provides you the unloading point, a default, and a calendar. And what you don't see on this screen, however, is the ability to add a new row. There's no buttons for it. You have sorts, you have delete, but there's no buttons to add a new row. And there's no binoculars to navigate. So it's really hard when you're trying to do a transaction of how to create a new unloading point. We don't want to, delete any of the current ones. We just want to add new.
Tom, I think we lost your audio there for a moment. Are you there, Tom?
Can you hear me?
Yep, that's much better. That's much better.
Okay. What was the last thing you heard? I'm sorry.
Oh, just right there, you're about to switch over to the form.
Okay, perfect. So just a quick recap. Yeah, there's no navigation on this screen to actually to create new unloading points. So we're using a merge table solution to accomplish this for unloading points. So here's our form. We did a quick query for our customer, and we brought back its unloading points. In this section, you'll see its current unloading points, and it's a repeating table that has downloaded the unloading points for this customer. It's bringing back the unloading points and the calendar, and then the next section is the new unloading points, which is a separate repeating table in itself too. We wanted them to, again, download the current unloading points and have the ability to create new ones. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a few unloading points. We'll make this the default. We'll add a couple more. Let's do one more. Okay, so right now we have our current unloading points and we have our new ones. In the SAP screen, there's no way to tell which is a new unloading point. There's no row count or anything. But at this point, we don't necessarily care. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine the two, and we're going to put into another table, and then we're just going to take the combined data of the current unloading points and the new ones and just put it back into SAP. So again, we have our two tables, and then what the user doesn't see, there's a hidden merge table. And what this merge table will do is, when I click merge tables, it's going to combine, again, the current ones. You'll see test 1, test 2 is at the top, and test 3, 4, and 5. So then we're going to take this data, and you also will notice that here's the new default, and there's the calendar. We're going to take this this data, the newly combined data of the current and the new, and we're going to put it into the transaction fields so that Winshuttle can write to SAP in a way that SAP can read all the data for unloading points. So if we click Apply to Script, what you're going to see is the unloading points as they occur in the merge table. So we have 1 through 5 is what we created for this. Well, we didn't create, so we have the 5 unloading points for this customer, and now what Winshuttle is going to do, it's going to just completely overwrite what's found in the unloading, which is found in the customer unloading point. And it was crucial that we downloaded the current ones so we didn't lose that data. So again, we're taking the current ones and we're combining it with the new ones, and then we're just overwriting it in SAP. This again was useful because there was no navigation tools, and there was no real easy way to write to SAP for unloading points. So this was our solution around it. Now that being said, I am going to show you a simplistic version of that so you kind of get a better understanding. So again, all this really is 3 tables, and I'll fill out some information. We'll just make this row 1, 2, and then the next, so this is our first table, table 1, table 2, and then we have the merge, and then the next one we'll just do 3 across. I'll just do 1 more. So then when we click this merge tables button, it's going to combine both tables in the order that they're shown from table 1 to table 2. Now, how all this works is a little bit of JavaScript, and Winshuttle actually had a nice article on how to do this. So, looking at this JavaScript that they provided, or we are using, is some of the main things we're looking at is the table 1 values. First, we're going to get all those values for table 1. We're going to get all the table 2 values, and then we're going to loop through each of them and then we're going to create a new row to the merge table. And then lastly, we're going to set the merge repeating table. So in the end, we were able to accomplish creating new unloading points using this merge table functionality, and it was a successful solution. And so that's one of the cooler solutions that I have had to recently build, and I thought it'd be very useful for you guys listening if you guys are trying to create some unloading points for customers. Now, the next slide is, let me go get the slide. All right, so if you come back here, and we're going to go this. So let's just make this full screen. So applying row 1 values of a repeating table to its preceding rows. So we had a use case for this in a material crate where the client wanted to be able to extend to maybe 15 plus plants at a given time. So picture, if you will, we have, right now I'm just depicting 5 plants right now, but we had set up for individuals to come in and fill in each section that they're responsible for. So let's say work scheduling. A person would come in and they would have to update all the plant data for work scheduling. So originally this became really tedious and cumbersome. So they would have to come in and say, if all of the plants needed to be O3 production schedule, they would have to come in and change each one. And as you can see, it became very tedious work. So we needed a workaround that would be able to make changes for specific values across all plants. And what we did was we looked to see if the table row 1 was, if the value was in table row 1, and then we would apply this top value if it was in row 1 to the preceding row. So if I wanted all the plants to be production scheduler 2, I would just click the top one, and then this value would be applied to the preceding plants. And then if I wanted to change this from automatic to manual, again, it would make the change across all plants. And we can go on and show you, if I wanted to make this 44, again, the user would have the ease of updating across all plants. However, they also wanted the ability to change specific plants if needed. So if the value wasn't in row 1, they could come down here and change this to 66, and it wouldn't affect the rest. They could come into the schedule profile and change it to automatic, and it wouldn't affect the rest. So we gave them the flexibility to make changes across all plants while making specific changes to specific plants. And how all that was accomplished was, it's actually a fairly easy solution. And what I did was to simplify it, I just put all the moving parts into a smaller solution. And what you see here is a repeating table, and we have 3 fields. We have a row number, a value 1, a value 2. Then we have we have a group. These are fields outside of the repeating table, which we call value 1 helper and value 2 helper. So for this solution, a couple of things need to be changed or to be done. So we're going to click on the repeating table properties, and we're going to scroll down in the row number field. We have to change this to the row number. So what this will do is it's going to count each row for us so that we know that it's row 1. The next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the value of the next repeating table value. We're going to have to set it to a field outside of the repeating table. So that's why we created these helper fields. So what we have here is we have a rule That's setting the helper, and when row number is equal to 1, we're going to set the helper equal to its value. And then the value 1 helper field also has a rule on it that it's set field value that we're going to run it no matter what. But it's only going to run when the value equals 1. And we're going to set the value in the repeating table equal to the value of the helper. So I'll walk you guys through that real quick. So we have the value 2, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a new rule. We're going to call this set helper. It's going to be an action, and we only want it to run when row number is equal to 1. And then we're going to set a value. So we're going to come down here, actions. We're going to set a field value. We're going to choose our value 2 helper, which is, again, if you see, it's outside of the repeating table. And we're going to set this value. We're going to insert a field value to the value of value 2 inside the repeating table. Next, we're going to click OK here. The next thing we're going to do is take a look at the value 2 helper field. Again, it's outside of the repeating table. And we're going to check its rules. We're going to add a rule. We're going to set repeating table value. And we're going to do an action. We're going to add the action. It's going to, again, be a set field value. And it's going to be, we're going to set the value inside the repeating table value. So here's value 2, and it's going to be set, again, to the value 2 helper field. So if you click OK here, it's all set up. And now if we go ahead and publish this, and I can show you what it looks like right now. So this is what the form looks like right now without the value 2 being set up. We have added a few rows. You see that the row number is being counted 1, 2, 3. And if we apply, let's say, test here and click off, it applies, what it's doing is it's taking the value of test 1, it's setting the helper field outside of the repeating table to test, and then the helper is then setting the value of value 1 to test. And what that's doing, it's setting all the rows to test. And if we were to change this to test, click off, it doesn't change any of the other rows because, again, row number is not equal to 1. So it only works, it only runs when row number is equal to 1. So now, if we go ahead and publish this or deploy this solution, all right, and we'll launch this form. So we'll add a few new rows. We'll say test, and it'll apply. And then if we do test 2, it applies. So again, test 2 value is setting the helper to test, and then the helper is then setting test 2 value. So just do a quick recap how this is all, again, the benefits of this is if you have to update multiple plants or anything that's in a repeating table, and if you want to make the changes across, this solution is definitely beneficial. It saved us time for specifically extending plants into material, but it could also be useful for anything in a repeating table that you want to cascade down. So that is setting the row 1 values to its preceding tables. And the next, The next is the process list, and it's mass cancellation. So I've been, like Lance mentioned, developing for roughly 7 months now, and you can see when I start testing these solutions, I'll start coming with a lot of tests for a specific solution. So originally, it was becoming tedious and like almost a lot of work. Is we run a test and that didn't work, so we'll run another one, we'll run another one, and eventually you have so many processes running, and someone has to clean it up. So originally, the only way I knew how to change this was come down here to the process list and hit this drop-down menu for one of the running processes, and you cancel process. Then you have to go to the next one, and then you cancel process, and then again. So it becomes a lot of tedious work that can be saved using a different method. So if we go to Workflow Central for this environment, and you'll see administration and the processes, we're going to specifically be looking at the process control. If you click on the process control, it's going to load. And here's our server, and we're going to look specifically at my site. And we only want to see the running processes. And we're just going to do a quick search. And right now you can see that there's these 3 repeating table row processes running. And again, before you'd have to manually click each one and cancel process. This way, we can actually do a select all here. And we can just say test. Or this is where you provide a comment to why you're canceling these. So typically, if they're all test solutions, I just provide a comment of test. So we know that these are just test, and there's nothing in production or anything. So if we click cancel here, you'll get a prompt that says the selected processes will be canceled. Do you want to proceed? We're going to click OK. Takes a second. And they're no longer, under my site, there's no more running processes. So if you come back to my site here and click refresh, these are all processes found under other sites, but you can see, we'll do a site down, that there's nothing under my site anymore. So we cleared up the process list specifically under my site. You can see actually if we go here, repeating table rows, there's no more tasks for me, there's no more processes. So that's an easy, quick way of canceling a mass amount of processes at once. Okay. And there's actually one other tips and tricks that I was going to mention that's not on the PowerPoint, and that's rerouting a task that's assigned to someone else, but you want it to be assigned to another person. And outside the box, there's no real easy way of doing it, but however, if there's actually a really simple way of changing the assigned to someone else. So where I'm going to go is here. Let's just go this, and we're going to go to a different site. Go to new material. So you'll see that here's a process list, and if we go edit here, here's all the swim lanes, and here's everything. Here's everyone that's assigned to each swim lane. And for example, if Lance wasn't in, if Lance was out of town and this process is stuck on accounting and we need it to go to someone else, we can just simply add someone else. So we can go to this SharePoint dialog box, peoples and groups, and we can go to Tom. Let's go to Dempsey. Choose my name. Click OK. So accounting, I'm now added to that. Save changes. And now I'll be assigned to that task. So it's an easy way to, if you're in a pickle, if someone's out of town, you can always change who is assigned to as long as you're the WS admin of that site. So going back to the tips and tricks. Any questions on any of those tips and tricks?
Yeah, let's take a look at the question list here. We'll give a minute. It doesn't look like any questions have come in as of right now, but we'll just give an extra set of time here to do that. Canceling the process, that was a time saver for me when you showed me that, because I was sitting there all day in between tasks, cleaning up my messy site, so I don't have to see all those old processes. So I know that one saved me a bunch of time. So that's a good one. All right, so it doesn't look like any additional questions have come in. So, at this point, let's take a look at, Tom, if you just want to go down to the next slide, we'll keep you as presenter there, and we'll take a look at some of the upcoming events. So we do sort of work with Winshuttle on the Hero user group. So in the Cleveland area, we have a couple coming up on August 25th. I believe this one is going to be applied, and we'll probably have some master party hosted by CPS, again, just for networking outside of the Winshuttle Hug event, which is always a great venue to see what other customers in your area are doing with the tool. And we have other ones as well set up in November. And in May, don't forget WEBtips again in May. We will be doing the desktop tools, transaction, and query. So I think that's all for today. Joining, we do have, is there any way to mass update a signee on the swim lane? Is a question that came in. So there is a way to mass update. If you have a person that is out of the office, you can mass reassign those tasks. So Tom, if you want to go back to your Composer or your website there, we'll take a look. If you go under process list, go ahead and click the title of process list, the Winshuttle process list title itself. You will be taken to a screen where you can see all the process lists for all the running processes at once. So instead of just showing the first 5, the first 10, and have the page through them all, you can see all of them at once. And under actions there, so there's the actions drop-down menu. You have out-of-office delegations. This is where you can set out-of-office for each user. And it doesn't look like Tom is an admin on this particular site. But what you would have if you're the admin underneath out-of-office delegation would be an option for bulk reassignment. So if you had the proper privileges, it would be bulk reassignment. You could select that, and you would enter a person on that screen. I want to find everyone that's assigned to Lance, every process that's assigned to Lance. And you could search and bring up all the processes that are assigned to me, and then you can cherry pick which processes you want to be able to move to another person. So I think we're taking a look here to see if you have privileges on any other ones. Doesn't look like
I don't think so.
You have that access, but it would be right there. You would select process, the Winshuttle process list menu, and where the actions options is, you would have out-of-office delegation, and you would have a separate one for bulk reassignment. Where you'd have that bulk reassignment is where you can pick one person and reassign their task to someone else. You can do it by process, so you can pick any material master process that's assigned to Lance, move it over to Tom, or likewise. So that's where you would go ahead and do that mass reassignment, is under the Winshuttle process list menu, not the web part that you see there. So hopefully that answers that. Let's take another look to see if there are any other questions. And that was it. So thanks to Jeter for that question. At this time, I don't see anything else. So we'll go ahead and end this webinar. We will be sending the link out as well here, probably sometime this afternoon after we get it loaded up to our YouTube channel. And there you will be able to find all of our previous web tips as well. So thanks again, everyone, for joining, and hope to see you next month in May. Have a great day.